Hello, I'm Marilyn Chase, your state senator from the 32nd Legislative District. Last week saw the release of the House budget, and it's no coincidence that last week also saw many of our fellow citizens reach their boiling point. This week, the Senate released its budget plan, and you can bet a similar reaction will follow. The message from those that came to Olympia to protest the budget last week was clear and consistent: close tax loopholes. The good news is that there are several bills making their way through the process that will do just that. The bad news is that many of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle and those that profit from these tax subsidies are fighting them every step of the way. I introduced a pair of bills last week which will provide oversight of tax loopholes and expenditures through audits. If it is learned that the tax subsidy no longer serves its purpose, or the entity receiving the break hasn't lived up to its end of the bargain, the state will be able to recoup the money through a so-called clawback provision. Clawbacks are already on the books of more than 20 states. They provide taxpayers a way of making sure their investment in development subsidies pays off in the form of net benefits to the greater good, and allow government to recoup their money if it does not. The concept of a clawback may seem like common sense. However, with the way many subsidy deals are currently structured, companies often face no penalties if they fail to deliver on promised jobs or investment. The result of such lax enforcement is that taxpayers end up subsidizing companies for things they don't do. Annual reports ensure that individual companies are complying with the terms of their agreements, and also allow states to evaluate whether subsidy programs are meeting their objectives. Clawbacks should not be viewed as a threat to business. They should be viewed as a tool that sets out clear expectations for parties on both sides of the table, lessening the possibility that disagreements will escalate into lawsuits. The rule is simple: fair and evenly enforced, and I believe businesses will accept it. Our colleagues in the House are also taking on tax loopholes. On Monday, they introduced a bill that will close the tax preferences for Wall Street banks and non-residents who purchase goods in our state. Closing these two preferences will save the state an estimated $170 million. Under the House plan, that money will go towards funding K-3 education. I proposed a similar measure earlier in the session which would close 4 tax loopholes that would result in savings of $150 million, which is enough to save the basic health plan. The 4 tax breaks that would come to an end under this plan are tax breaks for out-of-state coal purchases, tax breaks for mortgage interest earnings for banks, tax breaks for non-essential plastic surgery, and tax breaks for private airplane ownership. Because of Initiative 1053, Tim Eyman and the corporate interests which bankroll him have made it more difficult to close these loopholes and make this legislation a reality. More difficult, but not impossible. Eyman and his pals are literally banking on us not working together. So who exactly do elected officials represent? Do we represent people who want to leave their children a clean, healthy environment? Or do we represent out-of-state coal producers? Do we represent workers and small business owners located here in Washington? Or do we represent out-of-state banks and millionaire investors? Do we represent our seniors? Or do we represent people who want to get a nose job and a tummy tuck? Do we represent people that can't afford basic medical coverage, or do we represent people who can afford to buy their own airplane? The coming days will reveal the true character and real priorities of your representatives in Olympia. Let's hope we can work together to craft a responsible budget that helps people who are down on their luck, not one that balances its books at their expense. Some say it's not the government's job to take care of people. It is, however, the government's job to give them a fighting chance. That's all for this week. Let me know what you think, and as always, please contact me with any questions, comments, or concerns. My information is at the bottom of your screen. Thanks for watching.